Social workers help people of all ages get through a variety of issues and problems that are affecting their lives in a negative way. Their main goal is to focus on people that are struggling in their community. This good work can raise people's mental health in positive ways. In Saskatchewan, social workers are in charge of managing an array of different issues, such as adoption services, child protection, quality community living, financial assistance programs, foster care, affordable housing, disability, and senior and youth services. For a deeper understanding of what a social worker might do on a day-to-day basis, let's imagine a child who's living in an unsafe household where he or she is being abused by her parents. In this situation, a social worker would immediately intervene and try to find a safe environment for the child to be raised. Whether that be a safe and trusted family member such as a grandparent or an auntie or uncle, and if none of those options are suitable or available, the child will be placed in foster care. The social worker will also make sure that the child gets any treatment it needs to deal with any physical and psychological trauma that the child has experienced. Some other duties that social workers undertake are getting to know their clients on multiple levels. This helps them create a bond with their client and helps them better understand their situations. Once the social worker assesses the issue, they can create a treatment plan that empowers a person to overcome their situation. They also give their clients access to resources in the community to get them ahead. Some of these resources are things like food stamps, healthcare, unemployment services, medical professionals for further treatment, support groups, developmental job recruiters, and childcare resources. By covering all of these aspects, a social worker can have a very positive impact on a person's psychological and spiritual well-being by taking care of some of these stresses. When a social worker is dealing with an Indigenous person, they will often reintroduce their culture as they have been deprived from it for so long based off Canada's past. They will bring in elders to help reteach their culture to their clients. They will also give access and encourage people to take part in traditional ceremonies such as powwows and sun dances. All of these tools can help an Indigenous person to connect on a spiritual level to their ancestors and their culture. This relearning and embracement of their culture is crucial in the process of reconciliation and can greatly improve one's mental health and spirituality. Now that we have a better understanding of what a social worker really does for the community, I have prepared some questions for one who also happens to be my mother. What is the main goal/purpose of a social worker?
Well, I think there's a variety of things that social workers try to employ when they are working with someone that has come to see them, or they went to outreach to support a person in the community. So oftentimes is really to empower a person in supporting them in either making a decision, to help walk through maybe an issue or a challenge that they're facing. And ultimately, we often feel that answers lie with that person. So sometimes it's just helping them work through what it is that they're facing to actually discover that for themselves. And so we're really wanting to uplift and empower that person to be able to work through that themselves.
Thanks for the answer. And moving on to the next question, it seems that you've touched on some of the points, but how do you work to improve people's lives and well-beings?
I would say the place that I think most social workers would always start with is building rapport, a relationship with that person that they're working with to help them self-identify what it is that they would like to work on, what are their goals, what would they see as their personal challenges that they're wanting to work through. Most people, by the time that they are at the doorstep of wanting to meet with a counselor or social worker, they have a pretty good sense of what it is that is concerning them. And from there, they are usually quite motivated to say, here's some things that I'm stressed about or I'm worried about. And often what the social worker is going to do is just help them move through to come up with their own solutions. And there are times, though, that people do need additional supports. And through that, it's maybe cultivating their network of support. So helping them through that midst of their crisis to help them be able to kind of walk through and figure out who else is in their life that might know a little bit about what's going on or might know a lot, and be able to be there as part of their support systems. For other individuals that are seeing a counselor or social worker, that may be they may need additional supports. Perhaps they are physically distant from family, or maybe they've been separated out from different supports that they've had in the past, and they need additional supports, or maybe what they're facing is more challenging and they need other professionals to support them. So it may be about mobilizing other professional supports or community supports that could be available to that person as well.
Okay, thank you. That was well said. And moving on to my third and final question, I'm wondering, how do you help people's mental health and spirituality?
So I think I touched on this in my last answer. I think it's around mobilizing that network of support or circle of care for that person to help them go through whatever it is that they're facing. I think all of us have faced, different problems or challenges in our lives, and I think we all kind of lie on a spectrum of, maybe needing to rely on someone else to help us through. It could be dealing with the loss of a loved one. It could be around a situational time in our lives where we're feeling depressed, or it might be more of a chronic underlying mental health issue that requires additional intensive supports outside of just the natural family support system and friends, or perhaps you're also needing that additional assistance through your spiritual realms as well, in circles of support. So I think it's around activating those supports and helping that person with it. Sometimes this can be achieved in a short term, getting people to, maybe it's around doing simple things day to day around meditation. It could be doing things to help provide stress relief. Like some people find going for a walk and just thinking about those simple day to day tools can be really helpful. And then, like I said, the more intensive or the more enduring issues may require a longer treatment plan and need those other additional professional supports or a whole team around them. Maybe it's someone helping look out for them and helping them self-identify when there's a trigger or something that is going to be part of something that is challenging, and helping them prepare for it and think through how they're going to resolve that and problem solve. So I think worth helping people is, one thing is to let them know they're not alone, trying to remove any stigma around it. And it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay to receive that. And it's all right to be in need to also get those additional supports. I think we're well overdue for not helping people recognize that. And so I find that this is exciting to see that people are reaching out more than ever and recognizing that we can be a healthier community when we support those who are in need. Thanks.
Okay, thank you for coming on the podcast and providing us with some extra information and filling me in on some of the questions I had about the topic. With the interview going a little longer than expected, I'll try to wrap things up here. Sorry for dragging it out, Mr. Holcomb. All in all, a social worker's main goal is to provide support to people in need and to give them opportunities to turn their lives around and better their own well-being, their spirituality, and their mental health. Now, for anyone listening to this who's in a situation that they feel a social worker could help or oversee and deal with one of their issues, you can contact the Ministry of Social Services through the phone number 306-787-3661. For further detail, you can head to the Saskatchewan Ministry of Social Work website, where you can find further information on particular branches and find more contacts that you can contact social workers or counselors through their emails and phone numbers. And with that being said, I think that will conclude this podcast. I have a link to my sources handed on a Google slide. And thank you for listening.